This is the food fraud tabletop exercise. This is the 7th video, Module 3, late incident. We'll review the presentation of the scenario, discuss breaking out into work sessions, and present questions, and then there'll be a debrief at the end. So the additional information that we're getting in the third module is the inspector has gone back to her car and called her supervisor after visiting John. The supervisor calls the nearest inspector to have her also go to John's. He then calls the supervisor in Lansing, Michigan. So the supervisor is elevating this upwards and also getting another inspector involved. He also tells his Minnesota colleague at the conference that this may be a bigger issue and that Doug's may soon know that the labeling is being looked into, meaning that there may be a warning that John's may then call and contact Doug's. Table activity session. Consider developments while answering assigned questions. Identify any additional requirements, critical issues, decisions, and questions you think should be addressed at this time. Include 1 to 3 main points gathered at your table from the assigned questions or participant questions. Plan to briefly report out your roles and responsibilities to date in this scenario. The specific questions for Module 3 are: at what point does it become dangerous for the food inspector? When should law enforcement be engaged and at what level? This is one of the most surprising and critical points in this entire exercise, and something that usually is not considered. This is a food safety incident. It's really food safety inspectors, and even if it's industry people that are conducting audits, that there's a real question about at what point does this become dangerous? Is there a potential for violence? Remember, this may be gathering evidence that could lead to a criminal prosecution. So some of these perpetrators may become very nervous. Where does the safety of the inspector fit into law enforcement's priorities? Do the possibility of multiple fraud impact this? So if it's a food safety inspection from a food agency, at what point does this become a priority for law enforcement, both to protect the food inspector, but also to possibly take over this as an investigation? And do the multiple fraud types of fraud impact this? Remember everything that's been occurring at the different locations, as well as interstate. What are the legal options for the department? So consider this as a food inspection. What are their options to deal with this? What steps should the department be taking? And then after answering those questions, we'll move on to the tabletop exercise, the whole group recap, take a break, finish this up and conduct the activity, and then move to the next section, the aftermath.